Montreal, the everyday, and the extraordinary. The Elias Macco Show on CJAD 800.
We're staying with politics for a moment because we are taking a look at an opinion piece by Robert Libman, former MNA and leader of the Equality Party in the National Assembly. He's a political columnist with the Gazette now, and you often hear him on our airwaves too, talking about what's going on in politics. And he has taken a stab at kind of decoding the star candidate situation as we are moving through the summer ahead of a provincial election. Robert Libman, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Trudy.
Morning. You no veteran to political machinations. Has it been interesting, the star candidates the party has been trotting out over the summer? Who's been catching your eye?
Well, I think it's very interesting, and the Liberals in particular have shown considerable strength. I know many people, many commentators, even on CJD quite a bit, to criticize Charles Milliard for playing a low profile so far and not doing much necessarily to expand the party's base among francophones or define an identity for the Liberal Party. But during the past couple of months, he's been assembling quite the crew of quality candidates from healthcare sector, from the education sector, from the economic sector, even from the housing sector, or with James Hughes, the Oldbury Mission. And he's got quite an impressive array of candidates. And when the campaign really kicks into high gear, because during the summer, obviously, people are much less inclined to pay attention, and even the poll today shows that about half of voters are willing to change their vote once the campaign is up and running. He will probably strategically have many of these team members play an important role in the campaign, which could move the needle quite a bit. So I think it's very important. Star candidates really make an impression. They create a bandwagon effect, and it also gives the impression or belief of faith in the leader and the party's ideals. And I think voters are keyed into that, especially during a campaign when their ears are perked up.
I remember, Robert, the day that the Parti Québécois under Pauline Marois announced...
Perfect example.
Yeah, Pierre Pellado as a star candidate. And I remember I felt my heart sink because I thought, here is the party recruiting a guy who's savvy about business, who is lending that business credibility to a party that's devoted to separation. I thought that could sway some minds in favor of separations, that this big business leader is on the bandwagon and putting himself all now. It turned out to be a double-edged sword having a star candidate like that, because he sank himself when he did that, fist pump, I want to give my kids a country. And he basically sank the whole party, didn't he?
Well, you just scooped the point I was going to make this morning. And that, yes, I talk quite a bit in the column about the benefits, this certain advantages of having these star candidates, which are very important during a campaign. But once in a while, a star candidate could backfire, and that's the classic example. You couldn't get a bigger star in the Quebec political universe than PKP. Pierre-Carl Pellado back in 2012, when Pauline Marois, who led a minority PQ government at the time, held an early election because the polls were in her favor, and landing Pellado was major for them, and many people thought that would just consolidate a major victory for them. But as you know, a few weeks into the campaign, during a campaign stop, his bluster, his pride, his ego got the better of him. He raised his fist. He talked about Quebec separation and Quebec passports, Quebec currency, at a time when the PQ was trying to put on the back burner their option of a Quebec referendum, a sovereignty referendum, and that torpedoed their campaign, and they lost because of that, largely because of that moment in the campaign. So you never know. Certainly there can be advantages, but the leader has to manage those advantages. A lot of these star candidates are used to being out in front of the parade, or used to getting their own way, or not being under the guidelines of party discipline, and that certainly cost them back then.
And doesn't it also follow that if you're recruited as a star candidate and the party lets you know they really want you because of your expertise in one area or another, and there may be maybe not said outright, but certainly implied, you may be cabinet material. And then as a leader, you have all these people coming to you with expectations. You've got a management problem on your hands.
You certainly have management. It's a double-edged sword, as you called it, because on the one hand, it's critical for a party to show strength, show momentum, and at the same time, the leader has to have the political dexterity to manage those individuals and make sure that those individuals understand that they're not the leader of the party. They have a party, a team that they have to conform to. Look, I went through this way back when. You were certainly around. We were around together back then when the Equality Party started, and I went after a number of high-profile names just to give the party some credibility. We tried to get Jack Curran. I'm sure you remember Jack Curran, Graham Carey, George Springate. These were all people I approached to run for the Equality Party, and finally, when we did land Gordon Atkinson, who shared the airwaves with you at CJAD, of course, that gave the party instant credibility, as did Richard Holden at the time, who was a well-known political veteran. He certainly cemented some credibility for the Equality Party in '89, but of course, a couple of years later, stresses started to show up in the party. He had an ego, he had a way of doing things, he was thrown out of the party, and of course crossed the floor to the PQ, so that was a very dramatic floor crossing that hurt the credibility of the party a couple of years later. So you never know. It's up to the leader and it's up to the management of the party itself to keep everything together, and great benefits, but also if it's not handled properly, there's certainly dangers involved in doing that.
Any star candidates you've noted on the Conservative side, the Quebec Conservative side?
Well, not yet. There are a few that certainly will be. I think some of the main candidates are still yet to be revealed in the next few months. The PQ has been teasing a number of what they called very, very big names to be unveiled by mid-August, which should be interesting to see what they plan to do. The Conservatives seem to be a one-man show, Eric Duhem, and he's been doing fairly well so far in creating an interesting support system, certainly around the Quebec City area. Will they be able to bring in some big-time M&As, big-time candidates, a party that most people know won't be able to win? That's the question, because also, as you mentioned, if people run for a party that they know can't win, they're thinking about sitting in opposition for 4 years as opposed to really contributing by being at the cabinet table.
Robert, as a longtime Anglo rights activist, I'm going to ask you this question because I've heard various answers on it. Right now, if you are a federalist in Quebec and you do not want another referendum on sovereignty, where would you plant your vote?
Well, some people have talked about strategic voting. As we get closer to the election, if it looks as though, what is the option to push back against the PQ referendum, PQ victory in the election? Do you park your vote with either the CAQ or the Liberals if the CAQ seems to have a better chance of forestalling the PQ? But I think it would be anathema for any Anglophone to vote for the CAQ after the last 8 years. I think we shouldn't underestimate the possibility that Charles Milliard, once he finally is under the bright lights of the campaign, the writ will be dropped in 3 weeks. He'll certainly be on everyone's news feed and every newscast and every newspaper every day once the campaign starts, and that's going to be his opportunity to shine and the possibility of putting his team forward. I think he may surprise people. Right now, of course, in the latest Léger, he's at 13% among Francophones, but Francophones, like all of us, are faced with many issues such as affordability, housing, healthcare woes, and if he puts a strong plan together with a strong-looking team that looks like they can form a strong, solid government, he may convince a lot of Francophones to veer towards the Liberals. And I think that's going to be the best bet for our community and even for Francophones to place their bets right now with Charles Milliard. I think he has the best chance to win because people don't really know him that much. And during the campaign, his upside is much greater than Christine Frechette, who will still have to constantly defend the failures of her government for the past 8 years.
Yeah, I have a couple of texts in siding with you, Robert. The best party to vote for now is a Liberal Party. Let's stop talking about the past. Let's talk about the future. Thanks.
Well, Milliard, I think, has that it factor, and he's got to start showing it, and I think he's been keeping his gunpowder dry. Once the campaign heats up, I think that's the moment to really start to shine, and we'll see if he has what it takes. If he does have what it takes, he will tip the needle. I feel it, Trudy. It could happen.
All right, Robert Libman, brave prediction there. I hope you're right, Robert. I hope you're right.
All the best.
Yeah, thanks very much for your time. The last thing I want is political turbulence here in Quebec, and All right, Robert Libman, former MNA and leader of the Equality Party in the National Assembly, now a Gazette political columnist, among all the other stuff he does as well.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.
Stories impacting Montrealers. News impacting Montreal. The Elias Macco Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
Trudy Mason sitting in. Seeing as we are in the run-up to a provincial election, we are hearing from a number of industry and lobby groups outlining their hopes for what a prospective government will be able to offer. And we have one now from the Association des professionnels de la construction de l'habitation de Québec. This comes at a time when we are grappling with a housing shortage. We have rising rents. We have families in very precarious situations, having to choose sometimes between paying their rent and buying new shoes for their kids for back to school, that type of thing. So there's no question that housing is going to be top of mind for a lot of voters, right up there, I think, with healthcare and roads during this provincial campaign. From the association, we welcome now Isabelle Demers to tell us more about the shopping list. Isabelle, welcome to CJAD 800.
Hello, Trudy.
Hello. Tell us, first of all, who the association represents.
So the APCHQ exists for about 70 years, and it represents about 28,000 constructors and renovators across the province.
And these are both smaller operations and larger organizations too, larger businesses?
Small, medium, larger. And it's focused on housing issues. So housing is complex today, and it requires a lot of capacities. And so we have smaller traditional builders, and we have today larger builders, and also those who are doing prefabricated housing also that we represent.
So I noticed that one of your chief demands is for a super ministry for housing, which would bring under one umbrella a number of different programs and agencies, and would hopefully, get municipalities involved and to be able to act more quickly. Why do you feel that the arrangement right now within the provincial government vis-a-vis housing is not sufficient?
Well, there is a Ministry of Housing, and this is really positive, but it needs to go further. Housing issues, they involve multiple ministries and government agencies, and sometimes they sit in different ministries. So infrastructure sits in finances and energy and sits in other ministries. So a strong governance would help a better coordination. And would relate also a better coordinated action related to infrastructure, to land use planning, energy, taxation, regulation, and that would help to have to emphasize a more coordinated approach. Would help households to have access to quicker or to accelerated starts. And to have to reach that affordability that we need to reach.
I have heard counter arguments about cutting red tape, saying that a lot of regulations were brought in for a reason, to prevent bad decisions, to prevent shoddy projects that aren't well thought out and, might have flaws in them, various kinds of flaws in them. Can you make an argument to cut red tape while at the same time ensuring quality?
So this is a great question, because it's not about going with less quality. It's about making sure that it's more harmonized. So when you look at all the red tape and all the decision, one by one, they will look like very making a lot of sense. Nobody will be against those ideas. It's the addition of all those regulations put together that becomes a burden where constructors, entrepreneurs, they spend about 25% of their time doing all those regulatory requirements. And at the meantime, we've seen in the last 10 years the municipality delivering permits. There was an added period of 135% time. This increase in terms of delays impact directly the affordability and the capacity to deliver more projects in a timely manner. So sometimes it's not the idea of one specific element. It's to look at the overall picture. And when we have regulation that sits in numerous different places, it doesn't become something that brings more security. It brings more burden and more complexity.
Go ahead.
No, but I was about to give an example. So we have a construction code in the Quebec province. It's not harmonized with the construction code at the Canadian level, and we have about 1,100 municipalities across the province. They all have a different look and understanding of the same code. So this doesn't bring more security and doesn't bring more quality. It brings more complexity. So this is an example, for instance.
I have a question about another pitch that you're making, which is a reimbursement of the sales tax on new rental housing in order to bring down the rents that are eventually charged in those buildings. How would that work to actually benefit tenants?
So if housing is a basic need, then the fact that it's taxed, impacts the cost, of course, because the tax is always redistributed to the tenants or to the buyer. So by removing this large percentage of cost, that would definitely help the renters and the buyers just have access to something that is less costly. We've seen this happening in the rest of Canada, in Ontario, for instance, or at the federal level. So it is something that would put us on par with other provinces across the country.
Very interesting. Isabelle Demers, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Trudy. Have a good day.
You too. Isabelle Demers is a spokesperson for the Association des professionnels de la construction et de l'habitation de Quebec. When we come back, our in-transit segment, take a look at the price of cars here in Canada. They're down a titch, just a titch, except for electric vehicles. More on that coming up after we get a news update. Tom's standing by from the newsroom to bring you all the latest.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it.
Hello. Oh my gosh.
Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.
You're listening to the voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
The Elias Macco Show. On demand.
On demand. Don't miss a thing.
Find your favorite clips at CJAD800.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Price of cars coming down, both new and used. We will get the details from our favorite automotive journalist, Petrina Gentile, coming up.
When the news breaks, be the first to know with CJAD 800.
Canada added 75,000 jobs in July as the unemployment rate fell to its lowest level in 2 years to 6.4%.
Get it first with breaking news emails sent to your inbox. Sign up today at CJAD800.com.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it.
Hello.
Oh my God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
La STM vous souhaite la bienvenue à bord.
This is your stop. In Transit with Elias Mackos, CJAD 800.
Trudy Mason sitting in, and if you're in the market for a car, new or used, there is a little bit of good news price-wise, and I think key is little bit, because these are not huge price drops we're talking about there. A couple of percentage points, but still they are something. We welcome Petrina Gentile, automotive journalist, to tell us more. Good morning, Petrina.
Good morning.
So a little bit of movement. What was it? 2.2% new vehicle price drop as of June over the past year.
Yeah. So it's coming in at around $63,000. And then used vehicles have also dropped about 2.6% year over year, and they're just over 36,000. So it's not a big drop, but it's a drop in the right direction. What was really interesting though was the price of battery electric vehicles. The used battery electric vehicles, they actually went up in price. So it's really interesting to see that dynamics change. We had more people buying EVs in the first half of this year, and that's simply because of the federal EV incentives returned and gas prices rose. Pardon me. So now you're looking at the average price of a battery electric vehicle that's used around $49,000, and a new one is about $64,000. That's dropped about 10%. That's a big drop compared to what we saw last year.
We had heard that that the switch to electric vehicles seemed to be petering out, and I think at the time when we started hearing about that, the suggestion was that there was pent-up demand as these new vehicles were coming onto the market, and then people started to do their research, and maybe they saved up or whatever, they made their choices, and now we're seeing a little bit of a decline. Is that something you're tracking, or is there still a steady demand from people who really want to look at electric?
Yeah, I mean, there is a still demand there, but we anticipate that a lot of people that I spoke to, like Auto Trader, they think that price and that demand is going to go down. And that's because, the incentives on those electric vehicles are going to drop by $1,000 year over year. And because of that, we'll probably see less people buying them like they are right now.
Do you anticipate the arrival on the market of a limited number of Chinese electric vehicles might lure some people into that market?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely will lure them in. Right now, those electric vehicles that we're seeing that are in the market, like the Lotus Electra, those are expensive. Those are like over $100,000. But, towards the end of the year when we see those BYDs coming in and those cheaper EVs, I think a lot of people are going to become interested in those and maybe spark some demand. But again, when you look at those EVs from China, you also have to look at where you go in and fix those vehicles if there are any issues. Are there certified places, mechanics that can look at those vehicles? Are there actually, is there a brick and mortar shop to bring them in? How are the insurance rates going to be like for those Chinese EVs? There's a lot of research that needs to be done before I think consumers just kind of jump on that bandwagon, enticed by a price that might be a little bit less than what you're seeing from EVs on the market in Canada now.
In terms of used cars, the little price drop there, the 2.6% down, an average price now for a used vehicle at just over $36,000. Any thoughts about what's driving that? We had heard, of course, during the pandemic that the demand for used vehicles had gone through the roof, and as a result, the prices were startlingly high for what you were able to get. Any trend, sustained trend downward, do you think, there with more on the market? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's about inventory for sure. When there's, more inventory, more supply, and it's a number of factors, but that certainly is one of them. And they do see, the prices for those used vehicles coming down in the months to come. But it's never going to go back to where it was, before COVID. I mean, do you remember those prices that we saw for new and for used vehicles? You could get even a brand new car for under $20,000 before COVID.
Those were the days. Those were the days.
Yeah, I know. And there were so many more options. They had the Honda Fit and the Nissan Micra, all these vehicles. And the Micra was like $10,000 back then. All of these vehicles have been discontinued, these really small, cute, affordable, and fuel-efficient vehicles. So, you're not going to find prices like that before COVID, but at least they're going in the right direction. For the most part.
It is small comfort for a driver like me where I just don't believe in spending a lot of money on a car. I couldn't even spend, that average price for a used vehicle of $36,000. Right now I'm driving one that cost us $5,000.
I love it.
That's my budget. I don't, a car is a box that gets me from A to B as long as it starts and, it functions well. I don't want to spend a lot of money. Is there any hope for drivers like me?
It's tough. It's tough to find those very affordable vehicles out there. But you know what I like? I'm working on a piece for the Globe. I like all these new sites that are coming out that offer more competition. The Clutch, there's Car Door as well. So if you're selling, a used vehicle, my gosh, it's really quite amazing. You do not even have to do anything. You basically contact someone and they'll actually, put your vehicle on a site and dealers get to bid on it. They don't take a cut of it. Like it's really neat. These, if you're planning to sell a used vehicle, to make a decent amount of money on it. You don't have to worry about selling it privately or trying to, bring it to a dealership where you might not get the best price for it. I love the fact that these new options are coming out there instead of, a traditional, dealership. There are other options for consumers. So I like that, and it bodes well for people like you and me. I don't really like spending those prices. I would never pay, over $60,000 for a new EV or vehicle for that matter. It's just I like that that ability to have a vehicle that is practical, fuel efficient, will get me to point A to B.
I want to talk about something fun, though, Petrina, before I let you go, just briefly, because I understand you've been researching convertibles for a piece you're working on. What is new in the convertible market? Are convertibles still a going concern?
Yeah, you know what? Convertibles, they're dwindling. There aren't as many as they were, again, before COVID. There were a lot more. So we're seeing less convertibles, but, limited edition ones. They're very cool. And some of the iconic ones, the Mazda MX-5 Miata, I'm driving that now. That one's still affordable. You're looking at around $35,000 for a vehicle that's a lot of fun to drive in the summertime. Easy to put the roof down. You have to do it manually, though. There's no power system on it at that price range. And you can go all the way up to over, $135,000 with the Lexus LC convertible. That's a stunning vehicle. And it's a limited availability in Canada. There's only 29 up for grabs here, and they've already been all spoken for. So people still want those vehicles when they are in limited edition models. So that's very popular these days.
Petrina, always great to speak with you. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Petrina Gentile, automotive journalist. You hear her often during our In Transit segment talking about all things cars. When we come back in a moment, we still have a textile industry here in Quebec. I know you probably figure it's 100% offshore, but no, there are actually tens of thousands of jobs in the garment and fashion and textile industry, and very worried because of the incoming Trump tariffs later this month. We will talk to a business person about that. That's coming up.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.
Breaking news. Considered. The Elias Macco Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
We're on the countdown to August 19th. That is when the latest round of Trump tariffs go into effect. The 50% levy on a wide variety of Canadian goods, including some of them made right here in Quebec. And specifically, this segment, we're talking about fabric and garments. Now, there has been a lot of offshoring of that type of work in decades past, but there still is an industry here, a textile and garment industry here that employs, by some estimates, up to 15,000 workers. And these are companies very worried about the effect that the Trump tariffs will have on them because they do some business with the U.S. Joining us now is a CEO who knows this landscape well, Maxime Theriault, president of Les Tricots Elegant. Maxime, welcome to CJAD.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us what products are made by Les Tricots Elegant.
Well, thank you. Les Tricots Elegant is jacquard fabric. So we're doing fabric for dresses, skirt, jacket, mainly for women's apparel. We do also some technical fabric for uniform, from school to military to winter jacket to different type of product. All made here in Montreal.
What are technical fabrics, just in passing?
Yes, technical fabric is when we had or we put together different membranes. So let's say you have a rain jacket. It needs to be waterproof or water resistant. So we'll bond or we'll laminate some membrane together, and then we'll give some added value to your fabric, or for anything fireproof, fire resistant. So we will do those type of fabric.
Okay. How much of your company's business is with clients in the U.S.?
Currently right now, 20%, but we were, looking at expanding, and of course our product are durable, slow fashion, and there's been a lot of demand on different markets like California, Miami, and New York for our product, especially on the women's apparel.
How many people do you employ? Where's your plant, by the way?
We're in Ville-Saint-Laurent. So right now we just restarted last year, but we are currently 12 employees. But by the end of the year, we're looking to be about 60.
And 20% of your material going to your product going into the U.S. Have you done any number crunching on what you think this 50% duty might do to those clients, might do to your business?
Yes, well, definitely create uncertainty. Of course, right now it's a threat. It's not an effect, but it's definitely something that is, affecting us in our growth. We had diversification plan already in place with other markets like Europe and South America that we're accelerating at the moment. So
to try and offset the uncertainty because of the U.S.
Yes.
Geez, I think that's what a lot of companies are doing. I mean, that's what Mark Carney says we're supposed to be doing, right, is diversifying our economy and looking further afield than the U.S. Have you had any order cancellations, order suspensions as a result of the uncertainty so far?
Yes. Well, there's been not cancellation, but there's been a bit of hold on certain projects. No cancellation. I mean, we have very good relationship with our U.S. customers. They love our product. Right now, I think it's the waiting game a little bit. And, we'll see what's going on next week.
Have you been able to expedite any of your shipping to get products into the U.S. before the 19th?
Yes.
It's not easy for a small company to ramp up production.
No, it's not easy for a small company, indeed.
All right. What are you looking for as you look ahead? Are you at all optimistic that there will be some type of a last-minute heading off of these 50% tariffs?
Who knows? But I'm usually an optimistic person. I kind of see the glass half full most of the time. So, there's been a lot of talk. I mean, I think the government's been really proactive. In the last week or so, there was a lot of visits between the Canadian team and then the U.S. counterparts. So, we definitely don't want the tariffs to come in effect. I'm trying to stay positive.
Is there a possibility, if you can't ramp up your business in other countries fast enough, that you might have to consider layoffs?
It's not the point at the moment. We're a smaller business on the growth side. We're very specialized. Now, I do have, agent in the U.S. I do have people that are carry collection for me, so there could be repercussion over there.
If you had Donald Trump and Mark Carney in the same room, Maxime, what would you tell them about your business and your hopes?
Well, we're doing product that are extremely specialized. I think we've seen in the last COVID crisis that textile industry was extremely important for national security on both sides. As I think we came through for all the gowns and the mask and everything, and how important to keep a domestic, whether it's in the U.S. or Canada, vibrant textile industry, because we were there, to respond when, everybody shut down in Asia during that time. So I think we are an important part of the domestic manufacturing.
So you're asking for some consideration here.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
What were you able to pivot to during the pandemic? What fabrics were you able to pump out to help with the COVID effort?
Well, we did a lot of masks. We did a lot of gowns. We did, different things to help out. And I think as all the industry did, our industry did during that time, so.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Maxime Theriault, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Perfect. Buy stuff made in Canada.
Yes. Buy stuff made in Canada. I think that's the overall message too. Maxime Theriault is CEO and president of Les Tricots Elegant, based here in Montreal. When we return, we'll talk about the steel industry now. That's another industry that's grappling with all kinds of uncertainty because of the Trump administration's trade policies. But Ottawa has a new measure that it is rolling out. It is really designed to help Canadian businesses use more Canadian steel. And we'll talk to the Canadian Steel Producers Association about it after we get a news update.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice.
Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to the Voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeart radio station.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoos, All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.